Hello there, my name is Louis Wieland, and for the last 35 years, I've published the official relocation guide on Atlanta called Community Profiles, and it's distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta, which is the fourth largest multiple listing service in the United States, and growing. We're adding partnerships throughout the country constantly, and we're from Maine to California to Florida. And I have three publications that the First Multiple Listing Service distributes, one for Atlanta, one for North Atlanta, and one for West Atlanta. And they are on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com, and along with lots of other information about the city, and this show will be on that website probably by the end of the day. And I'm also a commercial realtor with Chapman Hall, and if I can help you with any of your real estate needs, please let me know. My area of focus is land and multifamily, and I'll do a little bit of office leasing as well. So every week or so we interview a community leader, and we're happy to welcome back the mayor of Peachtree Corners, Mike Mason. Welcome back to the show. Mike, it's been a while since you were on the show. And I know you've been sick lately, and it's good to see you back looking healthy and back to good health.
Thank you, Lou. It's always great to be on your show, and it's good to see you. You look good. And I will take a moment of mayoral privilege and say, all you young men out there, get your PSA checked. Prostate cancer is real. Yes, so we won't talk about health anymore. But it's good to be back, and Peachtree Corners is doing fine. And I appreciate. You may not hear this a lot, but I think you provide a real service to the community in your shows and your broadcasts. This is important information.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. It's an awesome honor to have you on the show. And just by way of introduction, Mike was elected the first mayor and is the only mayor of the city, Peachtree Corners. He was elected in March of 2012, so he's been mayor for 13 years. Before that, he served as a chief financial officer for multiple firms. He's a CPA. He co-founded the United Peachtree Corners Civic Association in '93 and served as its president many times. And he served on the local school advisory committees at Berkeley Lake Elementary, Simpson Elementary, Pinckneyville Middle, Norcross High. He was a Cub Master and then leader for Cub Scout Pack 525. He was assistant coach for Norcross Recreation League football and coach youth t-ball, soccer, basketball in Peachtree Corners Community Center for many years. He founded the Fox Hill Homeowners Association and was elected its first president, authoring its bylaws, and is still active. He holds an MBA in finance from the University of Evansville, a BS in accounting from the University of Southern Indiana, which I guess you're happy about today after that game last night, and successfully passed the CPA exam. And he volunteered for the Navy in 1970 as a hospital corpsman. He was honorably discharged in '74. He's vice chairman of the Gwinnett Newton Rockdale Board of Health. He's a member of the Board of Atlanta Regional Commission and the Gwinnett Chamber. He also serves on the executive committee of the Gwinnett Municipal Association. He's a graduate of Leadership Gwinnett, and he's from a town by the name of McIntyre, Georgia. And I looked it up this morning, and the population there is not the same as Peachtree Corners by a mile. It's about 1/10, I guess. Well, the population of, as of yesterday, let's put it that way, the population of McIntyre, Georgia, was 54. I think, 540, 540 people. I guess, and if that's in case nobody's on vacation. But not exactly the top of mind when you think of cities in the state of Georgia. It's located, by the way, in case you're not familiar with it, dead center in the middle of the state.
It is, yes.
So, Mike, it's an honor to have you on the show, and you have really contributed a great deal to the city. And in fact, I don't know, somebody might even consider you the father of the city in a way, since you were the first mayor and been involved in it since 93 when you were co-founded the United Peachtree Corners Civic Association. So there's nobody that I know that's more able to give us a nice overview in history of the city. It's the largest city in the county, and with a population of 55,000 or 54?
About 45,000.
Pardon?
About 45,000.
45,000, okay. And growing.
And growing.
You're 16 square miles. The average household income is over 100,000, and over 51% of the people have a college degree. So it's a pretty affluent, well-educated community, and well-managed, obviously. Well, how would you go ahead and give us a history lesson, Mike, in terms of Peachtree Corners, how it started, how you were involved in its inception, and some of the milestones and major accomplishments and things you're most proud of, and what does the future look like there?
Sure, I'd be glad to, Lou. First, thank you for the accolade, Father of the City, but that honor really goes to a guy named Paul Duke. Paul Duke is the one who really founded the community and named it. I think the most important element is where'd that name come from, Peachtree Corners. Well, it was here when we moved. My wife and I moved here, and Paul Duke, I think he incorporated his company. It was a development company in 1968. It was Peachtree Corners Incorporated. And then during the 70s and 80s, he actively developed an area outside the Beltway, which, if you think about that time, was a pretty speculative thing. But what Paul Duke, who was, I think he was an NCAA football player at Georgia Tech, mechanical engineering grad, went to work for Atlantic Steel during their heyday, but then he observed all the other Georgia Tech graduates were having to move away in order to get jobs in the new field of technology. And he thought something should be done about that brain drain. So he developed the very first it was a 500-acre technology office park called Tech Park Atlanta, out here in what became known as Peachtree Corners. He was so ahead of his time that when today it's cliche, the term live, work, play. Paul Duke was saying that back in the 70s. He was way ahead of his time, and we were really robbed of his vision by Alzheimer's in the 90s when he passed. But he's a wonderful man. I had an opportunity to meet him just once or twice, and he was still a crisp visionary when I met him, and he was a great guy. But he developed at the Tech Park, the office parks. He also got developers like Jim Coward, who was building aggressively in Dunwoody, and other. If I mention the names, the older developers would go, "Oh, I know them," or they're probably still in business with their sons running it. But the Coward family built a lot of homes and subdivisions here in Peachtree Corners, and did a fine job. And those houses are still retaining their value. As you said, home values in Peachtree Corners have gone up and continue to go up. And one of the main reasons is economic development, and the city is intentionally doing things to improve that. I think when you look at that's the underpinning of it. And when you've got that strong a base, when you get into the 90s, and then and probably, what was it, the late 90s, the city of Sandy Springs, Eva Colombo started talking about we need Sandy Springs cityhood. And Peachtree Corners, of course, we were watching that. There was a sense of community then that it was Peachtree Corners. Although we were next door to Norcross, we were in an unincorporated Gwinnett County, but it was an area the realtors referred to as Peachtree Corners. So as time passed and other cities, Sandy Springs became a city. I think Milton became a city. Dunwood became a city. Johns Creek, we followed because there was a lot of interest and encouragement, and it was kind of a groundswell that led us to do that. And we became, I think, the 15th or 16th city in Gwinnett County. And the most recent, I think now Mulberry has become, and they're right behind us in population. So we're still the biggest city. I think at the last census, we had 43,000, but I'm told it's closer to 45,000 now because we've had a lot of people continue to want to move here. But the important thing to think about it that helps you frame what is Peachtree Corners is question for you, sir. If we have 43,000 citizens, how many jobs do you think we have in this community? We could talk about that for some time, but you want to guess or you want me to just...
Well, I know. I think I read you have 50,000 people working there and 5,000 people living there, or 2,000 people living there in Technology Park.
It's what it is we have about 43,000 citizens and about 43,000 jobs. That was at our last, and there's been a lot. I mean, Intuitive Surgical has moved to Peachtree Corners since that census was taken. But that 1-for-1 ratio jobs, that includes babies and retirees and people that don't work. If you look at working age people and the number of jobs we have, what you see is we've got like 1.2 or 1.3 jobs for every citizen that wants to work. So wait a minute, Mike, that sounds great, but do all those citizens, all those people who hold the jobs live in your city? No, they commute in every day. What you were getting at is it's about 15% is the last estimate I heard of the people that work here actually live here. The rest of them commute in, which makes attracting people, lunch, it is a big, they come here, spend their money and go back home. So one of the things we've tried to do is improve traffic and congestion by building more homes for the people that want to live here. We're very sensitive to trees. That's something that tree canopy is very important to us. Walking trails very important to us as we define the vision of the city. But I think we have always been, and we were built that way as a major regional job hub. I've heard us described that way many times, and I've taken to using that phrasing myself because from a technology point of view, that's really where you want to be for the future. It's not old industry. It's very much new industry. And that's what, as I mentioned earlier, Intuitive Surgical coming here just a couple of years ago. That was at that time, I think I was told by the Chamber of Commerce, that was the biggest commercial transaction in the history of Gwinnett County when it was $500 million investment in the community. It's huge. And they brought about 1,200 jobs to the community, which is another one. And they're still, I think they bought, close to 30 acres. And it was a huge amount of buildings. And they are rapidly developing that. And it looks great across the skyline. It will be the kind of thing that it will define the city's future. That in Curiosity Lab. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Intuitive Surgical is the only FDA-approved robotic surgical device manufacturer. They're headquartered in Silicon Valley, but their East Coast headquarters will be right here in Peachtree Corners. And they were so pleased with the community that they have put a global training center. Now think about it. All the doctors that are out there that are going to need training in new surgical devices and things like that, continuing education from medical school days, they have to come to Peachtree Corners for training. So that is a real post-COVID shot in the arm for our hospitality community. They were estimating it was X number of hotel room night stays, and we've already got a couple of hotels that want to open here, especially one there at the Forum. But the Hilton and the Marriott that are here are very, very pleased with that kind of thing. But the restaurants and the hotels are very pleased. They love our Paul Duke STEM High School graduates and Norcross High School graduates. So they're very pleased. And we also have, private school, Wesleyan, right here in Greater Atlanta Christian, isn't too far away. So the high school level employees that can work, because this is a assembly. They will build the robotic devices here. So it isn't just a corporate facility. Oh no, it's manufacturing surgical robots, which is a great complement to the city's own Curiosity Lab, which we do robotic. I mean, the city doesn't do it. We've created an environment where companies can come to our city, and if they want to drive on the Curiosity Lab's test track to test advanced electric, mostly autonomous vehicles, we have a 3-mile track that they can use there. It's free of charge. They can test smart city technology. And you can go over there right now and see autonomous vehicles stopping, starting, testing their technology there in the community. We've had to expand. I think UPS was the one who they maxed out our space in 147 Technology Parkway. So we bought the right next door 145 Technology, and that's already got a lot of place. Georgia Tech came here. We're, I'm a Bulldog fan. I admit it. Yes, I pulled for IU last night because I graduated college there. Wife's from Indiana, but Georgia Tech has a special place in Peachtree Corners' heart. They brought their education. It's the first new college in Georgia Tech in the last, 20 or 30 years. And the governor came out here and we did a big ribbon cutting, and he said a few kind words about Curiosity Lab and Peachtree Corners in Georgia Tech. And we're glad to have it's called the Atrium Project. It's here in Peachtree Corners, and you can see it as you go down Technology Parkway. There's the Georgia Tech logo. So yes, a lot of great things are going here. And it all started in 2012 when Chamber of Commerce, Gwinnett Chamber officials came out here to visit, and they, congratulations on your new city. By the way, that's the good news. Here's the bad news. Your vacancy rate in Tech Park is approaching a third world country. Mr. Mayor, you need to do something. And so it was but see, think about it. Well, Paul Duke built most of that office in the 70s, in the 80s, and in the 90s. It's Class A then. What is it now? But who doesn't really care that much about Class A or Class B? Startups. And that's why an incubator, the precursor to Curiosity Lab, was a place we nicknamed Prototype Prime. And we partnered with Georgia Tech and their Advanced Technology Development Center. And we had a lot of people that came here. This whole area in Peachtree Corners has always been a startup hotbed. And a lot of the young people that want to move here today, if you talk to them about what's your background, what do you do? And I meet people out at Publix buying groceries or going to restaurants on the weekend. And I always make it a point to talk to them. Oh, you're new here? Or our Peachtree Corners Festival. I invite everybody to come visit us during the Peachtree Corners Festival every fall. But when I meet those people, the promise of Peachtree Corners is they go to the town center and they see all that playground equipment. And we have bought, I'll give Councilman Alex Wright credit for this. He's been a big proponent of playground equipment by age group. You could go out there at 9 o'clock in the morning, probably even in the 30-degree weather this morning, and there would be moms and kids on that playground. You could go at 9 o'clock at night and to be moms and kids. It's just that popular. But when you've got that kind of very family oriented, and then you've got tech park with jobs and intuitive surgical and all the things we've going on here. And probably the most exciting thing is the forum. North American Properties partnered with, well, back up. It's, gosh, when you think about the changes, and I don't need to tell you this in the commercial real estate business, when you think about the changes due to online shopping and Amazon, it has really damaged bricks and mortar retail. And when you look at the forum, which is in our downtown area, it's right across the street from our town center, you're talking 500,000 square feet of retail. So we could not walk away from that when it was pushing 30% vacant. So we partnered with North American Properties. They did the Avalon facility, as you know, and their vision was such that right now, I think this year they're going to break ground on 300 units of very high-end apartments and a boutique hotel will be right there at the forum. They have, over the past 2 years, done a tremendous amount, putting their full faith and credit on the line, as well as the cities, to improve, update, bring in new tenants. And it's been very successful. And when I talk to the forum people, they're very happy. Now, North American Properties was bought up by Jamestown. Jamestown has stepped right in, done a great partner for us, and we're very pleased that they're there. And the city partner, one of the things that separates us from a lot of other cities is with a mayor with the kind of background I've got. I'm an economic development guy. It's not at any cost. I mean, the phrase I like to use is we're going to urbanize, whether we are a city or not. All these little communities outside the belt, we're going to urbanize. You want to urbanize thoughtfully. And there I will give credit to the community, but especially the city council and the city staff, because we're in a consensus. I'm a consensus kind of a guy, but the council, we all share the vision, and we work together to make it a community-oriented area where economic development is still probably the most important thing we do. And it's one of the reasons we have a 0 millage rate. I don't know what city you live in, Lou, but when you ask most people, what's your city millage rate? Some of them say, oh, it's 5%, or some say, I don't know, I just pay the bill. I'm glad to live there. Ours is 0. And the way we do it is because when you look at us, we are 60% residential and 40% commercial. For example, Johns Creek is about 20% commercial and about 80% commercial, residential. And when you get that difference, what it means is business license fees, franchise fees, those kinds of fees are what, and a lot of business development fees, they're what enable us to maintain the kind of 0 millage rate that we have. And that's a big plus. Matter of fact, that was one of the things that Intuitive Surgical, the main reason Intuitive Surgical came here was they wanted to make sure that we get that they had, a place where Curiosity Lab was. They were very candid about that. Any city that would sponsor for economic development purposes something like Curiosity Lab, gee, we want to be there. The fact that we had a 0 millage rate, yeah, that's good too. But that's kind of the way that is. So we have managed we brought it forward, the people voted it in, and we have tried to maintain kind of a back to the future, if you'll let me borrow that phrase, to describe us trying to recapture Paul Duke's vision and dream, because the guy had it right to begin with. We're just trying to carry his briefcase. If you want to kind of put it in an humble sense, the guy was a genius, and we're just following his lead. So that is I could talk on about Peachtree Corners forever. It's my favorite topic, and so that's kind of does that answer your question? Is that what you had in mind?
Thank you. Yeah, that was really extremely articulate and comprehensive. The you've done an amazing job there, Mike, and we appreciate your service to the community very much. And one thing I noticed too, and looking at your website, is that at one point, was it 2018 or 2018? I think the city really did some research on terms of what really mattered most to the citizens, and the answer came up: trails, walking trails. Tell us a little bit about your trail system. I know it's really good. It's amazing, actually.
Yeah, if you look at, and it was inspired by a lot of the work the city of Atlanta did with the Beltline. I think everybody was a bit taken with that. But when we looked at our community, I walk, as often as I can, but we have a very fitness oriented culture. I think it goes with technology for some reason. But our trail system, just visualize an 11.5 mile track around the office parks inside our downtown area of Peachtree Corners. Now, leading out from that are also branches, if you will, that are little feeders. Now, that's a long-term view, and we've got, oh gosh, I don't know how many miles built, but it's very expensive to build it, especially if you build it so that people, if it's 12, 14 feet wide, you have to get the right of way. You don't, how it is with our real estate brethren. You don't always tell people, oh yes, I would like to buy your property, and you tell them 5 years early. Guess what the price is going to do? So we, work slowly to get the right of way, and we work with our tenants and with the property owners. And we also apply for a lot of grants. I think the Atlanta Regional Commission has been very good because we have applied and just recently gotten funding for the next step in our Crooked Creek Trail, which is we're surrounded by cities: Sandy Springs, Dunwoody. Well, before that, it's Roswell, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, and then Peachtree Corners, Dorville, Norcross, Duluth, Berkeley Lake, all the way around. We're surrounded, but the trails coming from Sandy Springs into Peachtree Corners across the southern end of our city, that's where we are now, and it'll be a beautiful addition. It's also on the south side of our city, where we have a lot of older apartment complexes. And some of these apartment complexes, Paul Duke's workers actually lived there and worked there while they worked on those buildings. So they're 50 years old. So in terms of development, we tried to redevelop some of these apartment complexes, and the developers say, look, they're full. Everybody wants to live in Peachtree Corners. It's 99% full, and the price keeps coming up. So they maintain them. But when you put an amenity like a walking trail there, statistics, the last I saw, showed a 10 or 15% increase in housing prices when you do that. And so that's something we hope. In terms of the development thing, this as well as I do, somebody's got to go first with amenities. And generally, it's the government. So the city has tried to do it in a way that's smart for our citizens, cost effective, and that's where we are. So it's, as I was saying, 12, 14 feet wide, biking, hiking, walking, running, jogging, riding bikes. And we're going to be building trailheads strategically around the city. And then those trails, for example, the trail that comes closest to the town center is the East Jones Bridge spur that's on East Jones Bridge Road, and it goes all the way from Peachtree Parkway clear to Jones Bridge Park, which is Gwinnett's park that's right there in our city. And the ARC is sponsoring a program. Oh gosh, I forget the name of it, but it's going to be a walking trail all the way from way south of the city, clear up to Buford Dam. And we're taking bids for a pedestrian trail to go across the Chattahoochee River there. I think the city of Duluth and Johns Creek did a pedestrian crossing down in their city, between their cities on the other side. And so this is something that Johns Creek and Peachtree Corners are going to be looking at, building that pedestrian trail. But that further ties our trails into the broader community. And we look forward to doing all those things. But yeah, trails are a big deal for us.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show, Mayor. I appreciate your service to the community. And I know you're busy, and I asked for a little bit of time, and you were most generous with your time, and I thank you very much. And by the way, if you missed this, you can see this entire show on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com. Or if you're a real estate agent, you can send me an email at lou@louwieland.com and get a copy of the show that you could use to send out to any of your clients who might be interested in moving to Peachtree Corners with their home or business. Thank you for your time, Mayor, and thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day.
Thank you.